Hey there, Heather Ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming to another Cutter Degrassi video. And unlike most videos, you won't see my ugly face. But anyway, a while ago, a Facebook user decided to post something on the Degrassi Facebook group that had 12 different Degrassi characters represent the 12 astrological signs of the year. You know, like Taurus, Aries, Pisces, and Sagittarius, among others. Today, I'm going to share with you my thoughts on the person and give you whether it actually fits the characters' descriptions and all that, if the person did it correctly. So, buckle up. This is going to be a big one. First up is Liberty, the crab, as Cancer is representing the crab. And does this fit Liberty? Well, yeah, she could be crabby at times. And all that. Is she a Cancer? I don't think Liberty is a Cancer. I mean, fuck, Jay's a Cancer, Sig's a Cancer, Rick's a Cancer, but she definitely isn't a Cancer. The line says, can't wait to snitch on you. Well, Liberty holds herself to a high standard of practically thinking that you need to do it her way and all that. But of course, she does have that air of being a kiss ass to authority figures like Raditch. If you watch season 2, Fight for Your Right, is that she was shocked alongside Raj when Emma called Raj out for his policies. And, Liberty kind of gives the air of being a suck up and all that. And that, unfortunately, is basically her character in a nutshell to a lot of people. Not to me, of course. Big pregnancy energy. Well, yeah, the problem with Liberty, in a sense, is that she could have easily told people about her pregnancy and all that instead of just waiting till it was almost too late. The baby could have had some defects or could have died in the womb if it wasn't for Liberty getting help. But she basically put all her energy into trying to prevent the pregnancy from happening and all that. I mean, I understand because, teen girls and pregnancy is not good. And let's not forget that Liberty's pregnancy was mostly not picked on by the other students. They basically left her high and dry, and not many people cared about it. Party in my hot tub, she's desperate. I think Liberty is desperate for affection and all that. That's when she gets with Towers after her and JT break it off in season 3. She just wants to be big, and she even says she's edgy to Sean, but Sean says, Liberty, you're as edgy as a butter knife. And also the winner of the Dare essay. I don't know what the heck that is. I think that might be an American thing because that's what it is. But I think her academics and all of that, she put academics above all else, and that's fair. Lots of people do that. But the fact of the matter is that her support system, like her parents, aren't completely helpful and all that. Especially season 5 in the thing that Liberty gave up the baby for adoption, and it's going to Seattle, and basically Liberty's father doesn't care about it, saying you sign on to this agreement. And he also says about the thing when Liberty has complications, which could have been postpartum, he says to suck it up. So, Liberty isn't all her fault. I mean, her parents aren't always the most supportive. And that's what happens. And that's why Liberty gets shat on too many times. All right. So this is Ashley, a Gemini, and all that. I keep thinking that's the twins, but I think Gemini is the twins astrological thing. Of course, I don't know all my astrological signs, so I have to try my best. Actually, being a Gemini, well, she's not a gem or a mini. She could be a mini troublemaker, I guess. But yeah, like a twin. Like, I won't lie, when Ashley was first on our screens in the first few seasons of the Degrassi Next Gen, I thought Ashley was black, like a character of a minority character, like Lucy. It would have been nice to see some good representation that wasn't keen of what people thought of Liberty and all that. But of course, you know how TVs are not as high def and all that. Ashley's skin color lightened, and I'm like, oh. And she has two parents who are white, so Nevertheless, always being on the brink of going off for attention. I think she was. I agree with that point. Season 2, when she was burned away from Paige and her group because of her taking ecstasy and all, trying to get back in everyone's good grades and all that. Paige is a bitch because she prevents Hazel and Terry from being near Ashley. She basically says that it's if you stay with me, you'll be fine, but if you go with Ashley, prepare to get shafted. And the two girls unfortunately couldn't escape Paige's shadow. And I think Ashley went off for attention, trying to get back at Paige and Jimmy and all those people for ruining her. And I understand that. Terrible eyebrows. Ugh, let's not talk about that. Can't earn anyone's trust. That's actually true. Ashley sometimes just can't do well and all that. Like, she had the right to get mad at Craig in season 3 for getting Manning pregnant and all that. And she wanted to ruin Craig. But the worst part was she let Craig swoon her and all that. Ashley should have known better. Wants to know where you got your skirt from. I don't really know much of the reference. And then the clown makeup there. But yeah, she has weird makeup. But yeah, can't hurt anyone who's stressed. Especially when she comes back in season 6. I don't know if she really needed to come back in season 6. I don't think so. But yeah, she wanted to have an affection for Jimmy and all that. And then what did she do? She gets rid of Jimmy's rap track from their song and passes on as herself. She was a little selfish. She was just jealous of Jimmy and all that. Her jealousy may have caused a lot of problems, and she never graduated with the Degrassi people. So, yeah, Ashley was just the terrible person in a lot of people's eyes. All right, next up is JT as a Taurus or a bull, I guess. You know, it's a nice picture. Oh, yeah, I think that picture kind of sucks, but I gotta go with it. That's the problem. So, anyway, what ends up happening is that, JT as a Taurus, he's a puny, hopeless shrimp. Well, I mean, I wouldn't quite put it that way with JT and all that. Maybe in his first few seasons, but I guess they're probably trying to tell him that, you know, he's kind of hopeless and people really think that he's just a clown and all that. Will ruin your life in one way or the other. Um, Possible? All that. He kind of does ruin Toby in a sense because taking advantage of Toby and his friendship. And such that JT decides to go after Danny as a friend, as in Liberty's brother, and leaves Toby high and dry. And Toby is easily clutched in Rick's possession. And basically, Toby protects Rick and all that. JT gets mad at Toby, but fortunately, Manny tears him a new one. I was watching porn with friends. I don't know how that affects it with all that, but I can I'd say that doesn't work out. Well, yeah, will ruin your life one way or the other. Kind of ruined Liberty's life in a sense because, even though that he was doing all he could to help the pregnancy out, help Liberty out in season 5, Liberty feels like it's not enough, and JT goes through great lengths to try to make Liberty happy, and it almost cost him a jail sentence and all that. And Liberty, gives up the baby. And yes, Liberty was spiteful in season 6. You could see that. She had a right to be spiteful, but she basically just was upset. What if JT dated another girl, but that girl didn't have a kid? Maybe Liberty would not have been so spiteful. But because Mia just happened to have a 2-year-old, JT is happy as can be. And a short lifespan. Well, we all know about that because, Lakehurst just wanted to destroy JT and all that. I have a feeling they just wanted to hurt him, but but Drake Lampley went rogue, I guess. But the fact of the matter is that yeah, JT's death impacted a lot of people. Toby and Liberty bonded over the trauma and all that, and almost had a relationship before Toby realized he couldn't hurt his friend like that. And it did hurt Emma too. I mean, she was upset that the JT accident happened steps from her house. I mean, why wouldn't she freak? I know I shouldn't make apologies for Emma, but that's the way it goes. But yeah, JT is a memorable character. Like him or not, he was there. Next is Jay as a Pisces, some type of fish. Well, he is a Pisces. He's a Pisces of shit. That's for sure. Sorry, this is one of my most hated characters on Degrassi and all that. I know Sig's up there too, and Rick as well. But Jay is my most hated Degrassi character who is living. Like Rick is dead, obvious. But yeah, first point, way too old to be in high school. Oh yeah, damn right. Like he looked like he was in his late 20s, early 30s, almost all the time. Even in season 3, when he appeared with his candy bandits to lure Sean away from Emma. You know, that's just like why and all that. Never returns phone calls, probably. Gives you an STD twice because you can't resist them. Twice. I don't know why twice. Well, it should just be once because, the whole Emma situation. I mean, Jay was creeping on Emma and took advantage of Emma's weakened state. I think he kind of had a hunch that Emma had a weakened state after the Rick situation. And after Sean left her, and basically Emma thought she was all alone. So Jay basically creeped on her and got Emma to do stuff that Emma definitely would not have done in the first 3 seasons, even though that Emma was annoying AF. But the fact is that, she went down the ravine, she gave him a what, and then all of a sudden, she gets outed for the gonorrhea attack because Alex and Amy can't perform in the school play because of them getting STD, and Emma practically gets it too. I think there's signs she did get it and all that. She does the right thing by yelling at Jay, saying, "You gave me a social disease," and all that. Jay tries to get himself out of it and all that. It does help Emma realize that she has to change her tone, and she kind of does low key apologizes for her role with Rick and only becomes sweet with the right girl. That's true because Jay was annoying AF. I mean, he was the devil on everyone's shoulder. Sean in season 3, Spitter in season 4, and probably Paige. JT in season 5, Sean and Peter in season 6, and then you know Darcy too. But he settles down with Manny, and that's actually quite good. I mean, I kind of hate Jay would be Manny. Manny just using Jay to try to get her overbearing parents off her back and all that. But Jay actually does make the effort to become more subtle and sweet and all that. I mean, he lost Spinner as a friend, so he was just trying to gain acceptance back, and he did, and that's all there was to it. And Jay and Manny were a decent couple and all that. I wonder why they broke up. Guess trust issues, but yeah, I just hate Jay. That's saying a lot. Next is Craig the Capricorn. Anyway, I think he is a Capricorn. He's a corn. He's a cornball, as I call him. Wants to love you, but doesn't know how. Yeah, that pretty much has Craig to a T because of his love life and all that. You know, he courts Manny in season 2 when Emma wants to court Craig because, after all, Emma helped Craig deal with the fact that, his father beats him and all that. And Emma probably felt like she did the right thing. And then Craig goes after Manny, and Emma low key is upset. But, Craig and Manny's relationship was weird and all that. Like Craig just wants to show genuine love, but he just doesn't know how. I mean, his home life really sucks too. And that's pretty much why, he is what he is. His dad wasn't the best role model and had mental illness too, but the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. That's what the old saying is. And unfortunately, I think that's what it was with Craig. And then, he gets with Ashley and all that at the same time as Manny. And, Craig can't really choose. Well, Craig wants to be with Ashley, but Ashley doesn't return his feelings. And then Craig goes with Manny, who wants someone to notice her new look. And Craig does. But unfortunately, Craig gets broken up by both of them. But Manny has to be with Craig because, she's pregnant. She doesn't know what to do and figures to get an abortion. Craig tells Manny not to. But Craig does not tell her the main reason. And I feel like if Craig told her the real reason, which I believe would be that, he doesn't have much family left. His parents are dead. He doesn't feel Joey as a father figure. I don't know why. But anyway, yeah. Tumultuous childhood. Oh yeah, that's true. And of course, Craig with his love for Ellie, who almost got Ellie so disillusioned she walked in the Pacific Ocean. But it makes sense why Craig has a bad childhood. And I think his father beat him because, he couldn't get he needed an emotional outlet for Julia leaving him. And Craig was the only thing he could outlet on. If had a ghosting, yeah, basically loving someone and then just leaving them high and dry. And in season 4, when Ashley tells him that she's going to move to England, Craig goes off the rails on his medication and, people can't find him. People are like, well, what's going on? And a perfect jawline. Well, I don't really know, but yeah, Craig had resistance on drugs probably to cope with his problems with women and all that. And, he just wasn't a liked character. I think he's overrated, but not too overrated. All right, next is Alex, the Aquarius. When I think of Aquarius, I think of the song um, Aquarius and then Let the Sun Shine In by the Fifth Dimension in 1969. But anyway, yeah, her her points. Does not give a what. That's actually true. I don't think Alex gave a what to what your situation was. I mean, she fought her own problems and all that, especially at home. She tells about her home life in season 4 to Emma that her mom gets hurt by her abusive boyfriends and then they live in women's shelters half the time. I mean, that's understandable in that we were trying to sympathize with Alex and like why she just can't trust men, especially Rick coming back in season 4, which we all know is true. But, Alex just was a bully for sake of being bullied. Well, she bullied Rick with intentions, but the fact that, Rick was abusive to women and she has had to deal with abuse towards her woman, especially her mother. But the fact of the matter with Alex is that the one key thing that makes Alex hate it was her not revealing her role in the Rick situation in season 4 with the pain and feathers and all that because nobody clues in on Alex whatsoever. The only people who technically know is Spinner and Jay, and they both didn't want to go after Alex. Spinner because Alex was not the cause of Rick actually calming down and then picking up the gun to shoot Jimmy. And then, of course, Jay didn't want to tell on her because, he had a hard on for her. Fuck gender norms. Yeah, like, I didn't think Alex would turn gay or all that and want to be with Paige. I mean, it was kind of cute, Alex and Paige. Alex pretty much wants a relationship and she doesn't trust guys. I mean, I understand that because Rick, was an abuser. Jay basically gave her an STD and ran in a sense. But yeah, Alex could have easily ruined Jay's stuff, but then she would have had to ruin herself in a sense and tell about the pain and feathers, and she didn't want that. Alex had remorse, but then, she had it taken away from her by Jay. So sweet every day, meh. Doesn't want to have a threesome. If you and your girl's boyfriend makes sense. But yeah, Alex was an okay character, but by the end of season 6, they just made her a stereotype and basically made her want to be with Jay and do nothing at all and ruin her future. And she had to move to Ajax. So Alex could have been a better character, but we just didn't give her time to grow. All right, so Manny um is a Sagittarius. I can't remember what astrological sign it is, but yeah, all that pink. Oh my gosh. Like it hurts the eyes, but that's just my opinion. Life of the party. Oh yeah. So she just wants to be noticed and all that. She's being cared for by overbearing parents who want Mandy to do stuff and all that. I mean, the only thing good about her dad, in a sense, being protective is that, it has the trope of parents, overseas parents, working their tails off in Canada to provide a better future for their kids who, come overseas and all that. And that makes total sense. But I don't condone Joseph Santos's behavior. And basically, that makes Manny more and more likely to just act out and try to, you know, rage against the machine, if you will. And she likes to go to parties and all that, especially a rave to try to catch Craig in season 3, and drags Emma into it. And Emma gets left behind by Manny and Craig, and then they have sex on her bed. Will ride or die for you. Well, that makes sense. I mean, especially with Emma, she was the sensible friend. Emma was not, and that's saying a lot. I protect Emma a little bit, but I don't protect Emma's thing with Manny and that Emma was a bad friend. That is 1000% true. You know, Manny rides and dies with Emma. I mean, they have broken off as friends a couple times, but strangely enough, not when it's needed to, especially when Emma dates Peter in season 5. Manny should just have washed her hands of Emma. But then again, she was living with Emma because her parents kicked her out, and Emma could easily have just manipulated Manny. A lot of research to see if underwear is that important. Well, yeah, that season 3 thing, you got that look. It's actually creepy because of Manny's age, like Cassie Steele's age when she did that. Storyline was just creepy and all that. And yes, visible underwear is not allowable in schools. It's been like that for years and years and years, even to this day. Like, I can understand Radish's anger. But yeah, and then Manny goes commando. But yeah, she just wanted to get the attention of Sully. It wasn't JT, it was Sully. But Sully was a prick and terribly misunderstood. I actually agree in a sense because, her actions just speak louder than words and people think that she's a prick and all that. I don't really think she was a prick. She was just someone trying to get out of her parents' shadow and all that, trying to find somebody she liked and try to live her life the way she wanted to live it. Especially, you know, her choices for boyfriends are very terrible in essence. I mean, Jay was trying to fix his life to get to Manny, but Manny was using Jay to try to get at her parents, and it didn't work. But that's the problem. Sometimes things look good and sometimes things look bad. But yeah, Manny is misunderstood, I do believe. All right, and then you got Jimmy the Scorpio. Like Scorpion. Scorpion. Anyway, Jimmy needs to know what you're hiding and all that. I don't know completely about this point. I don't really look into Jimmy's character that much. But like, Jimmy, that would be more of an Emma thing, Emma trait, I must say, that needs to know what you're hiding. Close and personal relationship with the pizza man. Oh yeah, was it season 1 or season 2? When Jimmy's parents work a lot, they're like workaholics and all that, and Jimmy doesn't really get to see his parents as much as he would like to, and then he orders pizza a lot. I mean, his parents can afford it because he's rich and all that. That's point number 3 and all that. But yeah, that's just big. And then rich as fuck. Well, yeah, because he gets all the cool clothes, all the flashy jewelry, and the iPod and everything. And Spinner's jealousy for his friend in season 2. So that's when Spinner steals stuff to try to keep up with the Joneses, keep up with Jimmy. But and then that's how Jimmy kind of can get to Los Angeles, like being recruited by a thing of going to Los Angeles and seeing a Lakers game and seeing some beautiful woman like Hillary Duff and all that, who actually got mentioned on the show in season 4 before what. So yeah, he knew what he had it because his parents worked their tails off. And also because in season 4, Jimmy tells his parents that, you're not ready for me. Just give me like a home nurse. Do whatever you can. Do like you know, I can try to be as independent and all that too, because his parents were not accepting of him being in a wheelchair. Not a lot of people are. At least Jimmy wasn't dead, and of course, can never catch a break, especially with what happened in season 4. Well, Jimmy wanted to have a decent relationship with Ashley, but Ashley was cruel and all that. And then he had a relationship with Hazel halfway through season 3 in the Breakfast Club episode till season 5. I think they said it was one of the longest relationships in Degrassi history. I have to check that out, but I think they're right. But the fact is that Hazel broke up with Jimmy because Jimmy had a was secretly cheating on Ellie. Like he was emotionally cheating on Hazel with Ellie, and basically that made Hazel look like a prick, and that's why people don't like Hazel. And of course, the whole thing with being shot. He was a tormentor of Rick, but then he realized what Rick was going through because Rick told him that. And Rick also said that now that Toby's affiliated with Rick, they're going to go after him too. And then Jimmy switches sides, which actually does piss off um, Alex, Spinner, and Jay. I mean, fight me on it, but I think Spinner and Jay were really upset that Jimmy switched sides. And that's kind of why they wanted to hurt Jimmy because, he switched sides. And that's a fair assessment. But yeah, he was fine. And then Rick just had to shoot him because Spinner and Jay told him lies, 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 lies. Yeah. So that's what ended up happening. And, he was in the wheelchair. His parents couldn't accept him for being in the wheelchair and all that. Drake himself couldn't accept being in the wheelchair. And then all of a sudden in season 7, he wanted to do stem cells and all that, but his parents were not so much. And then I think he used Jimmy's dad's cheating thing to bribe Jimmy's dad to help him get better through a lot of things. And somehow it worked. So, he got that break. And then you got yourself Paige as a Virgo. For Virgin, no, but Virgo, yeah. But anyway, Paige has had some things. Her bullet points here was she was only attracted to disgusting men and all that. So that's actually true. When she was attracted to guys, she was attracted to disgusting men who disgust her in some ways. Well, I discount Griffin in season 6, although a lot of people call him disgusting for hiding his HIV thing with Paige. He should have been more open. Thankfully, Paige didn't get that condition because, I don't think she's had signs from it. But the fact of the matter with Paige is that, yeah, she was attracted to disgusting men, and men really ruined her in season 4, especially season 4. She was attracted to, you know, why? Why? Dean. Yeah, of course. It's like, why am I tripping on his name? Yeah, she wanted to be with Dean in season 2, but Dean, what? With Paige. Paige tries to get her answers and all that from Dean and basically says she's going to come for him. In season 4, the season premiere was not about Rick. It was all about Paige trying to get revenge with the trial and all that and thinking she'll win. But despite her testimony and saying that in the face of Dean's lawyer, that kind of looked like pill for some dumb reason. She basically does well, and the judge commands her on it. But the judge also said that there was a lack of evidence and all that. It's like that was inadmissible. Sauvé couldn't admit evidence for Paige. Well, regardless of that, Paige gets robbed. Even Dean's lawyer was upset with that verdict. Paige basically crashes Spinner's car into Dean's car to get on Dean's bad side, and Dean doesn't flinch an eye. And then Spinner, using a cheating thing with Paige, cheated on Paige with Manny in season 4. When Paige is working at the feeder only to pay for Spinner's car. That Spinner was just dangling that car in front of Paige. Paige should have just basically said that, if you stay with Manny, I'm not paying for your car. You're screwed. But Spinner probably would have sued for it. And then let's talk about Rick. I mean, she was disgusted that Rick came back. I mean, who was happy Rick came back? Nobody. But, she was upset that the administration, especially Raj, refused to do a thing to help him out. Yes, Raj is hated for, shunning Rick. But the dude shunned the school first by bringing him back in the first place. So, come on. Nevertheless, she had her things with Rick and was upset when Rick came back. She does apologize to Rick, saying that Rick should not have been painted and feathered. And then Rick almost went after Paige because, he was upset that Paige kept Terry in her shadow. And I don't blame Rick. That's a fair point. But other than that, he had nothing. Nothing. But, Rick ruined her in a sense. And then Mr. Olander, she had the relationship with Olander. It was supposed to be cheeky, but then he's a student teacher and things go bad. Paige stays with him for the life of me. I don't know why. Well, all that. And, Bree Breezy did the worst plot lines video a couple days ago. And she said something about the fact that, Paige was just trying to move schools because she didn't want to get in trouble. And I'm like, Paige didn't they didn't want Paige to get in trouble. I think that Hatzileckles and Simpson were on her side and were going to help Paige out with the Olander thing. I think Snake just was concerned about Paige and wanted and hated on Olander, thinking that Olander was the one who was a prick, and he was. Then Olander breaks up with Paige and gives her drugs, and basically Paige turns the other way. A trendsetter, oh yeah, she was known for that new year, new look, new Paige. Yeah, okay. Head bitch in charge slash thinks you're a loser and tells you it to your face. Paige let her queen bee status go to her head a lot. She had Hazel and Terry in her shadow, and that's easy to see. Like, I hate Paige for that. She thinks she's better than everyone else. She has this big rivalry with Heather Sinclair, and I think a lot of people liked Heather because Heather was more kind than Paige. I don't know. There's that Degrassi mini that Paige actually is Heather Sinclair. Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, Paige let her queen bee status ruin her mind and all that. She thought she had to beat one and all that, especially in the Degrassi Goes Hollywood episode that just basically assassinated her character. She was just a dog walker for a celebrity, and she thought that she was, number one. But then she decides to help Manny get that High School Musical role, and she at least shows some good sides to her. And I think that people ghosting her made her realize that she was a head bitch, unfortunately. All right, so next is Sean as a Libra. Libra, like a free bird and all that. A liberated one. If that's the meaning, I don't think so. Anyway, exclusively wears denim. Yeah, Sean's fit was kind of decent and all that in the first few seasons. And then season 3, when he turns Bug to impress Jay and the Candy Bandits because they give him the time of day and Emma doesn't. Well, Emma has a new baby brother and a stepfather who's fighting leukemia to deal with. Sean feels like he wants to release his inner thug and all that. And, Sean was a thug, as they said in Wasaga. He deafened a kid and ran to Toronto. And of course, Tyler, the boy he deafened, thought that Sean was a hit and run artist. But I think it was his parents who shipped him to Toronto with his brother Tracker so that Sean wouldn't have to go to jail. So, yeah, Sean was just trying to embrace his inner bad boy. And Emma was trying to not have him be the inner bad boy because it was going to cause her trouble. Vegetarian? Well, why would they say vegetarian? Sean's not vegetarian. Excited to kick Jimmy's ass later? Yeah, I don't believe that for a second. And will be there for your girlfriend when you break her heart. Well, I'm not too sure about that. I mean, Sean did ruin his relationship with Emma a couple times. Season 1, they were a cute couple, and then Sean was upset when Jimmy insulted him, and then they had a fight, Sean and Jimmy, and then Sean accidentally pushes Emma. They break up, and then Emma and Sean gravitate towards each other by the time that Spike and Snake were getting married, and then they had a decent relationship, and then Sean ruins that relationship by being with the Candy Bandits, and Emma becomes pathetic, and Sean steals stuff, including Snake's laptop, to get back at her, like he wanted to spite Emma and all that, but then has a thing of remorse, especially when Ellie approaches his life. When they did the Breakfast Club episode, they did the pair up of Hazel with Jimmy and Sean with Ellie, and of course Toby got shafted because there's 5. You can't make 3 pairs out of 5, right? Anyway, so Sean and Ellie, and he mellows out. He gets student housing. He seems to be okay. He's breaking away from his bad boy persona. And then the Rick situation happened, and he fled to Wasaga to deal with it. I mean, I don't blame the guy and all that, having the problems and thinking that he was going to be in trouble for shooting and killing Rick. But Rick was the bad guy in the first place, so Sean would have been given a grace by the police. And then, he comes back in season 6 unexpectedly I think to break up Emma because everyone hated that Peter and Emma were together. They were toxic for each other. And Sean was there just to break him up and then have Emma realize that she needed Sean the whole time. And her feelings for Sean from season 4 came back in season 6. And, Sean was different. He was like, more lucid, if you will. And then he joins the army because Peter got him expelled from school. And then he was trying to find something for himself. And then the army back in Emma was not too pleased, but Sean said he needed to do something. And he comes back in season 7. And we almost thought that he was going to rekindle with Emma, but it didn't happen. Okay, then. All right, next is Emma the Leo. Leo as in lion. I have the heart of the lion, and I will make you roar. I messed up the lyrics, but anyway, yeah, Emma was basically one of the most hated characters on Degrassi. The bracelets for what she did to Jay. She's a feminist, although sometimes she's hypocritical, and she's just like all that. Cannot stop crying. Well, Emma does cry over spilled milk every so often, and everyone's right. Style icon, I think that was just being sarcastic. I don't think she was a style icon at all. I mean, the Che Guevara look, sweater, bag, and the turtle pants and all that. Eh, dolphin pants, excuse me. Hmm? Or do anything to save the turtles. Yeah, the big thing about Emma is, in the first, especially in the first 3+ seasons of Degrassi, she was more for trying to save the whales, save everything, and it was an environmentalist and wanted to be the cause girl and all that. But unfortunately, it gave her bad vibes, and people ignored her for it. I mean, Emma tried her best to try to get people to understand her causes, but they just wouldn't, and all that. One such an example was in season 3 when she was doing an environmental thing. Maddie used her look to get people to come to her environmental club, but Emma realizes it's all the wrong way and fights it off, even though that Maddie says, I'm helping you with this club. And Emma says, well, it's for the wrong reasons. And that's when Emma and Maddie break off, in a sense. Yeah. So, while her cause problems did cause friction in season 4 with Rick and all that, trying to do the Orange Ribbon campaign for domestic violence to do something with abusers. And unfortunately, Rick gets massively abused, and the students take her Orange Ribbon campaign the wrong way and go to beat up Rick. And Emma's cause girl effect happened because she almost accepted that $500+ check from Rick and all that. She said this was for the cause, and everyone thought that Emma was just being a hypocrite and basically shunned her, and that led her to being in the quiz bowl thing with Toby, Rick, Jimmy, and Heather Sinclair, in a sense. So she didn't really have much left in season 4. After all, she did piss Manny and Liberty off with the whole Chris situation, and she got what she deserved, I'll be honest with you. But yeah, the causes and all that. And the way people just didn't like her causes and all that, especially Radish, when in Mercy Street, he says, "This is not one of these stupid crusades. Stay out of this. I'm warning you." Are you crazy? Domestic violence is a massive cause, Radish, and that practically makes you look like a bad guy. And don't you think that Emma will get back at you for that comment? And I think she did. Low key, she did. We all know she did it to try to gain Paige's friend group because she lost her friend group. It was her own damn fault. But yeah, her causes actually dipped down past the Rick situation. I think that seeing Rick almost kill her because of that cause made her realize that maybe if she keeps doing causes, she's going to be targeted more. But nevertheless, yeah, cannot stop crying. She cries over spilled milk. She cries over Sean just leaving her, especially, well, the whole cannot stop crying thing in season 4 is when she weaponizes her trauma. And I will say this, I think everyone is correct when they say she weaponized her trauma to try to get out of the situation with being at the ravine and everyone catching her at 2 in the morning. She said she couldn't sleep and all that, and she took a long walk. You really think she pulled the wool over everyone's eyes? I mean, look at the outfit she's wearing. If she was wearing a normal outfit, she could have gotten away with it more. But, Snake wasn't buying it. Snake knew something was up and all that. Of course, she's upset that, Sean wouldn't pay attention to her and basically that doesn't understand why you get more attention than her. Yeah, Emma had a jealousy streak. Season one, she did have a jealousy streak towards Manny with the cheerleading thing and the Spirit Squad. I think it was jealousy more so than trying to protect Manny from being objectified by guys. Like Emma had a point, but then all of a sudden Emma became a piece of crap in a sense. Season three, I think she was a little bit jealous of Manny being looking for Sully when she should have been with JT and tried to look out for Manny. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't work out that way. Manny chews her out for it, and they break off being friends until the whole abortion thing happened, and Emma helps Manny out, even though that they kind of weren't really close to being friends again. Um, yeah, and especially season four. That point doesn't understand why you get more attention than her. That was the point that ruined it. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. Because the whole thing with Liberty, because she and Chris broke off. I bet you Chris broke off with Emma for her pretentiousness. But then seeing Liberty come close to Chris, all that. Well, Manny gives her a sign about that. Emma realizes that she doesn't want Liberty to be with Chris because what does that say about her? And people are questioning Emma all the freaking time. Like, now you care about what people thinks of her? Personally, I think it was her glow up in season four. Mary McDonald had a massive glow up, and she was way above her own station, as the kids say. So I think that's what it was. I think Emma was above her own station, and maybe she just wanted to find a guy that liked her for who she was. Basically, every guy that liked her was either creepy, Toby, a psycho, Rick, lucid, Sean, a manipulator, Damien, or just, one episode wonder, Chester. I mean, Kelly, I don't think wanted to be with Emma. I think Emma chased Kelly instead of him chasing her. She was a jealous type, and that makes sense. She wanted a boyfriend to keep up with Manny and everyone else, even Liberty. And that's what led her to Peter after Sean left for Wasaka Beach. Even though Peter was creepy and did put Manny in a bad position. But Emma, I think, wanted to be with Peter because, now that she can control Manny in a sense and fighting on that. But I think she just wanted to control Manny in season five and all that and went with Peter. Well, she wanted love and all that. Sean wasn't coming back anytime soon. And I think she just wanted to be with Sean. So anyway, that's practically all I have to say about Emma. And lastly, Aries Perez Hilton. Are you kidding me? They couldn't find anyone else to represent an Aries the round by Perez Hilton. They had 11 signs for 11 great Degrassi Next Gen people, and they couldn't find a 12th. Are you serious? And the worst part is, that's my astrological sign. I'm an Aries. I was born April the 9th. I'm an Aries. They just had to ruin it with the one person who doesn't go to Degrassi and all that. Hell, I would have taken Kevin Smith as an Aries. So you're telling me that Perez Hilton represents all Aries out there, especially myself? Are you fucking nuts? I'm sorry, but that's just how I feel. Anyway, I gotta cool down. I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.